Hi guys, Amy. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, sure, but where to even begin? I'm pretty nervous. But yeah, it's not about me, it's about the message. Yeah, growing up, despite being adopted, I had a really good life. You know, I had an older brother, older sister, and yeah, it was a pretty normal childhood. You know, apart from, you know, playing rugby matches instead of playing with Barbie dolls. But yeah, and very early on I started noticing blaming and excuses coming in, because whenever I would get hurt and my mom would say, well, why did you go and play rugby with him or soccer? And I would say, well, because he asked me to. You know, and for me that was a plausible, you know, reason for you know, carrying on that way. And I definitely felt a sense of being different. The first time I tasted alcohol was probably about 4 or 5. And then later on, my first drink, which I remember quite clearly, I was at a friend's house and she had said to me, look, let's have a drink or whatever. And I'm like, but you know, what would mom say, blah, blah, blah. So I was the one landing up phoning her mom at work to ask her, you know, if we could have a drink. Needless to say, we did have that drink, and obviously, you know, there it already started. You know, what I want, I get, blah blah blah. And yeah, from then, from the age of 13, when I started high school, I started with prescription meds, which I thought was a solution to the way I was feeling. I didn't want to let anyone know how I was feeling or what I was going through. I just kept quiet like a church mouse, and for me, the pharmaceutical drugs were a way to, you know, carry on with life. You know, I'm a teenager, I need medication, blah, blah, blah. You know, and it works, you know. And yeah, that carried on for a number of years. And yeah, it's just, only in hindsight can I actually see the damage that I caused those around me. You know, miraculously I managed to get my matric. I still to this day don't know how it actually happened, but yeah, then after school I had an opportunity to go and study, and needless to say, that wasn't an opportunity to study, that was an opportunity to party and not take any responsibility for my actions. As a result, I didn't land up getting the sound engineering and music production diploma. Then I started to work in retail, which, yeah, it worked for a couple of months, but at the end of the day it was all, you know, it wasn't enough for me. Nothing was ever enough for me. You know, I had work, I had everything, I had, you know, like my family and whatever, but it wasn't enough for me. And fast forward like a couple, yeah, like toward the end of high school, like that's, I think, the reference point where things really got bad, and I didn't see it. You know, not phoning my mom, not, you know, letting her know my whereabouts, blah blah blah, just wanting to party and just think that and believe the bullshit that it's actually working, and that, hey, I'm a teenager, you know, I'm nearly turning 20, you know, this is like really cool, this is a life, you know, this is awesome, it's a party. And yeah, there was no off switch. You know, like 8 in the evening till, I don't know, 6 o'clock the next morning. And yeah, then like Durban wasn't working for me. So now I need to go to Joburg, I need to find a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And needless to say, that didn't work as much as I really wanted it to. It didn't work. So I landed up coming back to Durban. And yeah, it was just mad. It got so bad to the point where I was at this one place and my mum actually came and looked for me, which is something I never believed would ever actually happen, because, oh, well, you know, my mum doesn't do, you know, this sort of thing, so she'll never come and look for me. And she did, and even that experience wasn't enough. And yeah, just continually run on self-will, looking in hindsight now. And even up until that point, like after my dad left, which was another plausible excuse for me to drink. And today, by the grace of God, I don't have to drink on that. I don't have to drink on being adopted. I don't have to, I don't have to continue that way of life. Today I have an opportunity to change that, and that's something I never thought would ever be humanly possible. And fast forward a couple of, I think it's after that point, I did another Joburg Durban stint, and through all that, still being in total denial about my behavior, about who I am, about, this is really not working, the meds, everything. And in line with that, going to the psychiatrist and psychologist, because, maybe you need to talk to someone, you don't want to talk to your family, so maybe talking to somebody else, maybe that might help you. Needless to say, it didn't. I still continued taking the meds, still continued drinking, and still believing that it actually worked. That I'm functional and, all that sort of thing, which is totally delusional, which I can see in hindsight now. And not seeing my part in things, it's just, I had to get to that point for me. I had to get to that point of being absolutely hopeless and flat, and with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, if that makes sense. I had to be brought to a place on my knees, which was last year, where I had no other option. I had to call back to my mum for the 1000th time, and I couldn't say anything. Like, all I knew is that something drastic had to be done. And that's when I went up to the treatment centre, and that was quite an experience on its own, but it's definitely one that I need to have. And for the people in this room that helped me through that process, the only other time I'd gone to a treatment centre was a place in Durban, and there again I thought, okay, cool, well, this is going to work, take a couple of days out, maybe, this will change things, but essentially all that happened there was they just continued to give me more medication, which, that still didn't work. I spent 11 days there, and then, I'm sure it was probably like a week later, and I was just back at it, just carrying on destructing the lives of those around me, and not really actually caring, not wanting to see the damage, and through being in the treatment centre and doing the steps, which is something I'd never done before. I didn't even know about the steps. I didn't even know about this treatment centre, and I was pretty broken when I arrived, and I basically had no other option other than to try and to see if this worked, because I was all out of ideas. I thought, well, medication's not working, doctors aren't working, me trying to do it on my own is definitely not working. So just some little hope came to me at that point. I don't know, maybe that was a God moment, I don't know. So I began doing the steps, and it really shone the spotlight on me, which is something that I never wanted to have. I didn't want to be the one that had all the focus on. Just basically putting pen to paper. It definitely wasn't easy. Most of my resentments that I had were totally unjustified, which I found out later. And it's just, previously I'd gone to meetings, but when I heard people, it was so depressing that I landed up going out afterwards, and that wasn't the point, whereas today I can come to meetings, first of all sober, second of all actually listen to what people are saying, and actually take it in. I spent 4 months at the treatment centre, and from there, it was quite a hectic journey, but if it wasn't for the people in this room and for the program, which I owe like my whole life to, I probably wouldn't be here today, or at least sober. And it's just been, recovery hasn't been easy at all. There have been really good days though, and I can laugh about stuff and I can relate with people now. Today I found a place where I belong, whereas before there was always insecurity and, where do I fit in? Am I with the cool kids? Am I not with them? Where do I fit in society? I was totally lost, and trying to do things my own way. Today I found a place where there is serenity and a place where I can actually look at my part honestly, and push past and try and learn and grow, which is one of the gifts that I never thought was a gift in the beginning when I first started like my recovery journey, but in actual fact it's a gift, and it's to help other people. No matter what I'm going through, it's to help other people. And early recovery was really scary, from being in a house full of people to all of a sudden being on my own. It's like, okay, well, where's everyone? Like, that's when the reality hit. That this is the journey and it's starting now, like ready, steady, go, this is it. And today I have amazing friends, which is something I never had before. I have a really good sponsor who, thank God for her patience and her willingness, and with whom I wouldn't be where I am today without her help and support, and the other women in the fellowship as well. And I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I started to look for work, and it took like about 2 weeks or so of solidly putting in the footwork, and then I found a very humbling job, which is something that I never did before. I just eventually kind of just got on with it because this is now what I have to do, in order to stay clean and sober, and obviously start building relationships with my family and all that kind of thing, which is scary, but it's also amazing at the same time, because even though it's really slow, the relationships with my family are, starting to grow. It's been amazing that, I have the opportunity now to actually be a part of their lives and find out what's going on for them. It's not all about me anymore. It's been an amazing journey. And right up until, I'd worked at this job for a fair few months, and just recently what's come up, which I don't know, it could be relevant or irrelevant, I don't know, but the experience was due to my own actions. They were either going to dismiss me or they were going to fire me, and I took the option to resign, and that's just something that's where an active I would immediately run or use, or woe is me, poor me, why did this happen and how could this happen and blah blah blah. But today, I can be grateful that, my higher power, he's obviously got something better in store for me, I don't know. That's another experience where by some miracle I managed to stay sober through, and not run and not, done all those old behaviors, which is like a miracle for me. It's been hectic, but at the end of the day, it's a new life. I get a chance, and something that was said to me in the very beginning in the treatment centre was like, trust this process. And I'm going, what does that even mean? Like, how do I do that? And it's literally only by following suggestions, getting on my knees in the morning and the evening, doing my inventories at night, step 10 or step 11, staying out of a relationship for a year. That was a really tough one. And then when I first came out of treatment, one of the first things I did was I had to literally cut ties with everyone and everything, which was really, really difficult. There was a lot of pain there, but in hindsight now, it was actually for the better, because I'm no longer tied to those people. I'm no longer tied to those places. Which there again, I didn't believe I would ever get rid of, even if I tried. But yeah, it's just happened that it's a miracle that I'm not tied to that anymore, and I don't have to go back to it, one day at a time. I can just continue moving forward. Yeah, and hopefully one day I'll get the chance to study again. I don't know. But God's plan is God's plan at the end of the day. I'm just grateful that I'm sober today, and I never for 1 minute even thought it would be possible. And yeah, with the help and support of my family as well, and I can see that today. Whereas before I would think, why are you trying to help me? I can do it on my own. Very self-reliant, very, yeah. And I just thank God that they are in my life today, and that we can continue to grow, and become a family again despite distance and all of that. So yeah, it's been crazy. It's something that I've never experienced before in my life. Doing life sober. And not waking up in the morning going, oh my God, what do I do now? That anxiety is gone. And I don't have to, find ways and means and oh my word, where today I can talk about it with people, I can put in my step 11, I don't have to resort to old behavior. There is the opportunity to have a relationship with a higher power, which is something, I had a concept of God, and, I went to a Christian school, and, I had that idea, and church, and whatever. Needless to say, that didn't work either. Sorry, I'm backtracking a bit. The behavior was still there. Here I am supposed to be an example, and I'm doing the total opposite, which is something that I kind of felt guilty about, but it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me from carrying on and, continuing to damage people's lives. Relationships were inactive, were very toxic, very one-sided, very, just not cool. And it was all about me, if I can get this from this person, blah, blah, blah. It was just not healthy. And my part to play, I had a part to play in every one of those relationships. And, when the time comes, I don't know, God willing, it could be in 3 years from now. I don't know. I'll get an opportunity to, make amends in that area of my journey, But it's definitely something I'm not, that's not really, I guess that's not for now. And yeah, I don't know, I'm rambling now. It's kind of overwhelming, but it's also a huge comfort to know that literally just for today, that it's a just for today program. No matter what I face today, with God's help, I can get through it sober, which is another miracle, because inactive, I could probably stay clean or sober for a week, and then it'll just return back, which I'm really grateful today that cycle that's kind of come to an end, and it's really only through having a relationship with a higher power. And there were instances in my life, for example, 2009, I'd had a major op to correct my palate and whatever. And afterwards, it was a 6.5 hour op, and afterwards I went into ICU, and my one lung collapsed. And at that moment, that was probably one of the first moments where I was completely powerless. you know, I didn't know whether I was going to get out of there alive, basically. And the doctors were like, no, please step out, like, we've got to try and get her back. My oxygen count was like 80, I think, or something, and it's supposed to be 100. And yeah, even that experience wasn't enough for me to kind of, you know, wake up and realize, you know, someone's trying to tell you something, you know, like, just, you know, I'm there for you, I'm going to help you, but, you know, it still wasn't enough for me to connect. Like, there's a power greater than me, and that wants to help me and direct me, you know. And today I can see that he works through people. He's not just this air in the sky, you know. He speaks through people, and, you know, for that I'm really grateful as well. Because for me, like, I want to know things instantly. Like, I want the answers now. And recovery is definitely not an instant gratification process at all, which is something I learned, you know, in the first couple of months, or for the second that I've been sober, which some days I'm grateful for, but other days, like, you know, why can't it be now? You know, I need answers now, you know, all that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, that's just all behavior. And yeah, today I have a chance to change that. So yeah, all I can say, guys, is just like trust the process. And yeah, also in early recovery, it's just popped in my head now. I'd lost a very good friend to this disease. You know, Laurie she was awesome. Always encouraging and all that kind of thing. And I just kind of thought, well, you know, I want what she has, you know, all of that kind of thing. And all the other ladies in the fellowship as well. There was something that attracted me to the life that they had, life that I wanted to live, but obviously like without the drugs and without the alcohol, you know. And yeah, that was quite hectic. It took a while to kind of understand that this disease is flippin' powerful, and it can take anyone. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't, you know, it can take you out in a second. Which is something that I learned as well quite quickly. My dad not being so well, that was also quite a Mount Kilimanjaro experience, if I can put it like that. But thank God, like, he's better today, and, you know, still living his life. But yeah, ultimately that was quite a scare, and that's something. You know, death, I always feared it, you know, losing other people, you know, losing my family and all of that kind of thing. And it was a big excuse to drink, because I didn't want to feel this way, so, you know, there's the easy way out. But in recovery, I've learned that it's actually, essentially, maybe not initially, but it's actually easier to sit and deal with your feelings. And this program allows me to do that and actually look at that sort of thing, you know. Yeah, it's sure. I don't know. Am I done? I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing, like laughter and all that kind of thing. I can laugh at the most stupid thing. Whereas in active, I'll be like, that's not funny. Like, why are you laughing? It's not funny. And yeah, that's just like the simple things. Like, it's, yeah, you get to notice like the simple things. And like when you wake up in the morning, like you can hear the birds or like the lawnmower. Whereas in active, it'll be like, oh, really? Could you just no? Yeah, and it's, yeah, I don't even know why I went there, but yeah, I get yeah, so I don't know, maybe I should start closing off. Yeah, so, and in the evenings, it's you know, thanking my higher power for getting me through another day sober, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for letting me share.